Hi, it's Monday, the 12th of May, and we're here to look at the astrology for the early part of this week. And I'm actually talking to you at the moment that the sun and moon are in opposition, exactly opposite. So it's the moment of the full moon in Taurus. Anyway, I'll just share with you while we pick up some of the information from the chart. Okay, there we go. Right, so here it is. We've got the moon at 21:36 of Scorpio. That's the glyph for Scorpio. And we've got the sun, that's the glyph for the sun, at 22 degrees of Taurus. Okay, well, I have already spoken about some of the issues to do with the full moon in Scorpio. And that was the last video, so pick up that if you want to catch up. However, what I want to talk about now is more the small stuff, which sometimes is the big stuff, really. But anyway, so we have at a 90-degree angle, Athena at 23 degrees of Aquarius, whilst this full moon is going ahead. This picks up 3 points of the fixed cross in astrology. The remaining point over here would be at 24 degrees of Leo. If you've got anything at 24 degrees of Leo, then that would make this particular full moon quite important. The run up to it should also be taken into account. So we're looking at sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the run up to it would have contained some of the issues to do with this particular full moon. Okay, right. I want to just look at a couple of, oh, before I finish that, stop, wait a minute. I just a couple of other things I want to do. I wanted to show you two of the astrology reading cards. That's my deck of cards that have been out now since 2012 and have sold up to date 45,000 copies worldwide. I still can't believe that. It was published with Findhorn Press, and then Inner Traditions bought Findhorn Press. So now it's Findhorn Press at Inner Traditions if you want to have a look. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, but this time let's just have a look at the Taurus card just to get a feel for it. So some of the foliage from this card actually came from Glastonbury. If anybody's interested in the spiritual essence of Glastonbury. Um, there's a bee here, which was put in to represent nature. That's, of course, a lily. Money, so assumedly gold coins. That's what we're supposed to get from it. And granite, blue granite here. And there's a stream here. And the sun is coming through the trees. And what this card should invoke is a tremendous sense of abundance of nature, which is what the script says here. Rich, earthy, and productive, yet relaxed and slow. So typically Taurus. Okay, so that's the Taurus card. I'm going to stop the share and then go back to, I don't know if you can transfer from one to the other, so I'm not that clever, so let's just do it this way. All right, and so this is the Scorpio card. I love this card because it is so mysterious. What you've got here is the back of a spider. I don't know where the spider's from in the world. Richard found that one. And we've got a coiled serpent, which is so much Scorpio. There's that slithering and sliding and so sort of soft and sensuous and sensual. The actual head of the snake is here. That pattern there is repeated here because it's feminine as in curves. And there you've got a suggestion of a part of the female body. But what you then have is the two eyes of this very exotic lady here. And Richard did a brilliant job with making her look so sultry with the light there and her hand and everything. I think the whole thing just is evocative. And the color, of course, is meant to be water, Scorpio. So Yeah, so then the script on this just says the energy is intense, masterful, thoughtful, and magnetically charming, but also secretive and possessive. There we go. Right. So, okay, that's covered those. And what I want to do now is go back to that chart. And so we can pick out some of the lesser known stuff that people might not be talking about. And the big one for me is Ceres going conjunct to Saturn. I've looked at this and thought about mentioning the weather, and then thought, well, no. But now I'm definitely going to. When Ceres was first discovered, there was a drought in the UK, and I was very interested in the coincidence of Ceres being introduced into Rome to help them overcome the effects of a terrible drought that was threatening the Roman people. So when we got this huge drought in the UK, and it was actually, no, I'm going the other way. Sorry, it wasn't a drought in the UK, it was flooding, serious flooding. There was hot weather to start with, and then we got tremendous floods, and the ground was dry, and so the water didn't sink properly, and it stayed on the surface. And then it got worse and worse, and in the end, the whole crop, all our wheat crops and everything were in danger from this flooding. And so I remember the whole thing was poised for total disaster in terms of food security for the UK. And right at the last minute, Ceres was very noticeable in the sky for a particular reason. And it seemed as if she had come to save the crops because the rain stopped, the sun came out, dried up the floods pretty easily, and we actually got a decent crop home. The abundance of the harvest that year was not that much lower, which was astonishing. And we now have in the UK, we have had a heat wave since the 28th of March, bar 2 days that were a little bit cooler. We have had day after day after day of relentless sunshine, which is beautiful. It's lovely, and you should see my garden. However, I'm having to sprinkle it all the time because with the hose pipe with water because it is drying out so quickly. So the crops are in a similar state to the position that they were in years ago, but definitely a similar state to how they were in Rome when Ceres was first discovered. So, or had been discovered recently, and I was still trying to sort of find out about her meaning. Ceres is actually going conjunct to Saturn here. We've got 28 degrees of Pisces. Now, the interesting thing for me here is Pisces, water, and Neptune, water, Pisces have always had, sort of associations with the sea, and Neptune was the Roman god for waterways before he became the god of the seas. Anyway, so before I carry on about water, because I could go on about water no end, but let's just say water. Okay, rain is made of water. We all know this, don't we? I'm interested in the coincidence, if you like, of Saturn and Ceres being next to each other. The effect of Saturn is austerity. So Saturn prohibits, holds back, makes things difficult, challenges, puts a testing situation. So Ceres, who is a goddess, a deity, who is definitely all about food security. She is about other things as well, but it's about the crop and growing things from a seed on into which it must become. So the seedling, if we're talking about a seed of corn, an ear of corn, then we're talking about it growing into a seedling and then becoming a plant and then reaching its fullness, producing its harvest, withering and dying, and then the seeds are put underground in silos or planted into the ground for the next harvest. So Ceres does that with crops, but also does it with human beings. And she's very much associated with the whole cycle of birth and death. The whole cycle of nature is very much a part of Ceres's domain. Okay, so I suspect that there is a weather situation going off in the USA at the moment. It's very hard for me to get USA weather here. Can you believe that? If you try to go into the news services and get weather, they don't let you in because they're protective of well, trying to get money, I suppose, trying to get me to subscribe or something. So, but from what I can see, there may be weather issues in the States. And certainly here in the UK, although it's been very pleasant, we're getting to the point where actually they're going to start to have hosepipe bans, they're going to have to limit water, etc. We're not there yet, but this is very unusual for the UK. I mean, it truly is. I mean, as you know, the only weather we get in the UK is light rain, and that's all we're equipped for. We can't do snow, we have no snow plows. We can't do heat, we don't have air conditioning. You see, so we just light rain, that's all we can take here. Well, we haven't got any, and we haven't had any for so long. So there we go. Anyway, so that is I'm just going back to this chart just a second so I can remember the other things. So that's the Ceres Saturn thing, which I think is quite apt at the moment. And what was the other thing that I was going to mention? Oh, yes. So in talking about the opposition of the sun and the moon, so the full moon in Scorpio, the sun in Taurus, what a lot of people don't really pay attention to, if I'm honest, is what happens after the full moon. There's not a lot of people talk about that one. And I think it's interesting because it's all interesting. I mean, I'm a passionate astrologer. So what we will notice or should notice, or what is possible to notice, is as long as that moon stays in the zodiac sign that is opposite the sun, so there is still an opposition by sign, then we kind of keep the heat, if you like, of the full moon. It kind of keeps that tense, sort of slightly crazy, headachy, sleep patterns disturbed thing, right? When the moon moves into the next zodiac sign, which it will do within hours or within a day or two, there is a change in mood straight away because it is moving into a zodiac sign which doesn't really understand Taurus, where the sun still is. As it happens, what will happen on this occasion is the moon will move into Sagittarius, and what Sagittarius and Taurus have in common is nothing because they don't make any particularly strong aspects. So what happens then is the moon then from Sagittarius picks up the fire in the chart, and there's quite a lot going on in Aries. And so we get the masculine energy rushing back in because when we had the full moon, as in now, it's in two feminine signs. It's on a feminine axis. So feminine energy is dominating, yin energy is dominating. And can you believe it's almost as if things are being held back, being sort of held down. And when the fire is activated again by the moon's move into Sagittarius, then things could heat up a little bit more. Well, okay, watch this space because we've got India and Pakistan sort of having a bit of a spat at the moment, and they're both nuclear powers, by the way. That's great, isn't it? And there's the weather situation in the UK. Oh, yes. And then, well, we all know the rest of it. It's America, Trump, that kind of thing. So a lot to go off, considering it's being held back by the feminine. What happens when it does get active? Anyway, there we go. Watch out for the crescent moon. You will see it depending where you are on this planet. Tomorrow night or the night after, it will be a very thin sliver of light in the sky above where the sun went down. If you follow the sun's light along the horizon and just look, if you can see the horizon, you'll see the crescent moon. That's what the Egyptians thought was the most important time. When the crescent moon appears, that is the beginning of the new cycle. It is not when the moon is exact, because that's a dark moon and the moon is in trouble. It's underground, it's in the dark, and so therefore that's not strong enough. But as soon as they see that crescent moon, yes, it's back, and then that's as far as they're concerned. The cycle. Okay, I think I've covered everything there, and I hope that was useful. And as usual, I've really enjoyed talking to you. And please don't forget my readings, because here I am. I do readings. You can go to my website, which doesn't have cookies or pop-ups or anything special at all. In fact, it's a very old-fashioned website which leaves you alone. And you can book a reading there if you want one. In the meantime, I'll be here again later on in the week. So you can get all this free stuff. You don't really have to have a reading, but it's nice to. Anyway, never mind. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.